The gi is dead. Long live the gi.
Oh my God!
You see what I did there?
I wasn't.
I shocked it. Look, did you see his face?
We just talked about this, Hal, and we said the gi is back better than ever. So
did you see his face? It was incredible.
You
yeah,
caught me off guard there.
That was worth it just to see that. No, it is a play on words, of course, but it is true because so many people are saying the gi is dead, the gi is done, it's all over. The future of grappling is all about no gi. Well, we beg to differ here at FloGrappling. The truth is that the gi is very much alive and well, and coming back with something of a vengeance, as we saw recently at the IBJJF Brazilian National Championships. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But it is a topic that comes up again and again. And I'll be honest, it's kind of funny because I just came back from a nice little trip to San Diego.
What are you doing out there?
I was doing some filming with Keenan.
That's
so
right.
If you've been to FloGrappling, you may have noticed that a couple of rows down that we have a bunch of sample techniques from Jujutsu X. And the Jujutsu X, of course, is a knowledge sharing platform that features many different instructors from both the worlds of gi and no gi. And if you want a little sample of what those technique videos look like, well, then you can go on down to our website and you can take a look and have instructors such as Josh Hinger, Renato Canuto, Gabe Tuttle, Gianni Grippo, and many others. And while we were at Legion American Jiu-Jitsu in San Diego, working with the guys there at Jujutsu X, the subject came up. The subject of gi and no gi jiu-jitsu came up because, of course, we just came off the weekend of Who's Number One Championships, which was an amazing tournament that had everybody talking. So many people wanted to talk to me about who's number one. It made a mark, you know? But while I'm in the gym, I'm looking around, and the majority of people are training in the gi. And that's not something specific to Keenan's gym. That's something in most jiu-jitsu gyms, right?
Yeah, I mean, almost everywhere. I'd say most hobbyists that only train, let's say, 2 or 3 times a week, well, they're doing that in the gi. Now, I think times are changing. We're seeing more and more no-gi specific gyms, no-gi only gyms cropping up, but they're very much in the minority, I would say, everywhere.
It is true. The majority of the jiu-jitsu world train in the gi, and still the gi competitions are bigger in terms of participation numbers and just sheer number of events than no-gi events. Whereas no-gi has definitely captured the attention of the grappling community this last year, right, Corey?
Yeah, it certainly has, with, of course, things like Who's Number One and the rising popularity of ADCC. And I think, you know, the rising stars that are Gordon Ryan and Craig Jones, bringing people, making people more interested in no-gi. But I think the gi is starting to see a similar level of exciting athletes that should be and must be driving interest.
That is very, very much how I feel about things. There is a new wave of grapplers poised to take over the world of gi jiu-jitsu. And we saw that this past weekend at the 2021 IBJJF Brazilian National Championships. So this is the first time that they've held the Brazilian National Championships since 2019, because of course they lost the 2020 championships due to COVID. It's usually scheduled for around about May in the year, and so that would have been right after the lockdown. But this weekend they had the event, big event in Rio de Janeiro, featuring an entirely new generation of champions. Can you believe 10 black belt gold medals on offer?
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Brand new champions.
I love it. And if you also take a look at the brackets, you'll see that it's not just the gold medalists, but we're looking at a lot of brand new silver medalists as well that are new black belts, that are fresh faces on the scene. So I think maybe there's a drive and desire in these younger black belts that say, I need to make my mark right now. And they're also extremely good at what they do.
They're hungry, right?
And I saw some of the most exciting action all year on the stream there. I was watching from home, and it was a great weekend for jiu-jitsu, and a lot of new faces, which is, I mean, it's just exciting. You know what I mean? To see the unknown, the X factor. We're always looking for that, and it's coming out now in spades.
Let's highlight a couple of those, and let's play this little video clip as we're talking, because this is a little highlight video that we have all the way from Brazil of some of those champions. And there's a couple of notable faces that we'll talk about in this video right here. And, you know, the Brazilian National Championships, it's always been known as one of the toughest tournaments to win in the entire world.
The divisions are huge.
The divisions
especially
are huge.
Black belt.
The talent pool is very, very deep. So you may encounter people that you've never heard of, and yet they are killers, but maybe they don't have the means to travel to the big international tournaments, but the depth of talent, the physical challenge of having so many matches to win gold, it is just a tough tournament. And it's the home of jiu-jitsu. Let's not forget that. The Brazilian jiu-jitsu started in Brazil, and as international as it is and as far and wide all over the world as it has traveled, they still have a little an edge, right? And this is the same thing I always say. It's like, if you want to watch the best wrestling championships in the world, you don't watch the Olympics. The Olympics is incredible, but you want to watch the toughest, the nastiest wrestling championships in the world, you watch like the Russian team trials, or you watch like the Iranian national championships. You watch those tournaments that have just got crazy depth of talent, like I say, and in countries with rich grappling traditions, and those are the toughest tournaments to win and to emerge champion of. So, talking about the champions, so 10 gold medals, 10 brand new faces on top of the podium. For me, the most impressive was Mateusz Gabriel. 4 matches, 4 submissions to win gold in the lightweight division. That's a hell of an achievement.
Absolutely. And, he's sort of towing the line there of next gen versus established guard, because, of course, he's a world champion. But he did that in his very first year as a black belt.
Right.
So, he's still, I would say, a fresh face on the scene for the black belts. And this is, again, his first time conquering the Brasileiros as a black belt. So, and to do it in that fashion is really, really impressive. Corey, what makes Mateusz Gabriel so dangerous?
He can submit from anywhere. He aims to submit from anywhere, and that's what makes a lot of the guys on this brand new champion roster so dangerous. Is all of them are out for the submission. They don't want to win by advantage. They don't want to win by points. They want to submit their opponents, and they're going to. Great point, actually. That is a really good point. There's something to be said about the hunger of youth, right? That youthful energy that these guys, they want to make their mark on the sport. So, as you mentioned, they're not just going out there to win by advantage or do the minimum necessary to get to the top of the podium. No, they want to make their name. And a big part of that is going out and winning in impressive fashion. And Mateusz Gabriel, he did just that. I think it's really cool as well, because we talked about this. A BJJ bet, he competed a couple of months ago in Brazil. And that was his first time competing in his home country since he was a teenage blue belt. Wow. It had been so long. So this is the first time that Mateusz has ever competed at a high-level tournament as a black belt in Brazil. And he stormed through the divisions, including a very nice win. And you can find this clip on the IBJJF Instagram by 50-50 armbar.
He's so good at that.
Right. Yeah. I love this. Mateusz is one of those guys that I think you said it right, Corey, that he has so many different entries, right? He can get into those submissions from all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of his favorite armbar setups is that kind of jumping black hole armbar, right, where he dives in through the 50-50 directly into the arm.
Yeah, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Really is. Big fan, Mateusz Gabriel, and I'm very excited to see if he's going to be able to do the double, because he did tell me that he's absolutely in for the World Championships in December.
Oh, that's very exciting news.
Yeah,
a couple of the names that really stood out to me at Brasileiros were Fabricio Andre and Mayram Alves. And they're guys in the lighter weight classes, light feather and featherweight, that are also looking for the kill. Right. Those are two divisions that have been somewhat paralyzed by really tactical games. Tactical strategy, and people that are also very good at canceling each other out. It's definitely been an element of those divisions for a long time.
And they've been heavily criticized, rightly so, right?
It's definitely, I think, the case, right? Or it has been the case. But again, with this next generation of athletes coming through, they are changing the game. And that's very exciting.
That is, because I think paralyzed is a very, very good description of what you mentioned there, that for years, the light feather and featherweight division has generally been looked down upon by the just being dominated by the leg fighters.
Well, what happens is, the first round's great. First 2 rounds are great. But then you get guys that are so good, and for some reason, it's a rock and a hard place that never goes anywhere. And I think, maybe, I don't know if it's a matter of will or skill, but again, at this event, we saw a different outcome.
Yeah, we did. Fabricio Andre, he is a highlight reel waiting to happen, and man, that guy is always in search of the submission, as we saw at the Pans, right? He took bronze medal at the recent IBJJF Pans, and then taking gold at the Brazilian Nationals. I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on going into the featherweight division there, into Worlds in December. And you mentioned Mayram Alves. He took gold in the light featherweight division. Recently switched over to Dream Art as well, actually. So a new representative for that team. Another representative for Dream Art, who shone very brightly indeed was Eric Muniz, who actually took double gold, claiming the super heavyweight and the absolute gold medals. And Eric Muniz, if you haven't seen him before, very distinctive figure because he is massive. He is so tall. He's easily 6'4", right? Maybe 6'5", I don't know. But he's very, very lanky. And he has got, as you would probably imagine from such a long grappler, he's got a very, very effective lasso guard.
I mean, him and his brothers all have incredible guards, especially using the modern lapel game, lasso guard. But they're very active, you know. They're not just maintaining position on bottom and playing safe. They are very good at sweeping and submitting from those positions as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, double gold, of course, should be clear enough that that was the case this weekend.
Yeah, phenomenal athletes. All of the Muniz brothers. There are actually, I think there are 4 of them in total.
I realize there's a blue belt competing at Brad. I'm like, how many of them are there? Like, they just keep coming.
They do.
Terrifying. No one's
keep
safe.
multiplying. Yeah, but there's 3 in the black belt ranks. There's Alex, who's a middleweight. There's Eric, who's a super heavyweight, and there's Anderson, who flits between super and ultra. But all 3 of them very, very good black belts. And but Eric Muniz taking double gold there at the Brazilian Nationals. Look out for this guy. He can do some damage come the World Championships. And a rookie black belt as well. First year, brand new black belt. You know, it's his first time competing in these major tournaments as a black belt. And he's already making waves. Also, you know what's really cool? Because he's not just a guard player. You know, sometimes these long-legged guys so effective with their guards, a spider guard, lasso guard, lapel guard. But he's actually got great passing as well. Really good footwork. Very mobile. Fast feet. And you know, can put the smash on as well because he is a solid 220. So...
Yeah, you know, and a lot of that, I think success could be attributed also to DreamArt. I mean, DreamArt provided a lot of the champions this year, and their program has been, you know, not studied extensively, but we've witnessed it, let's say, over the last few years, sort of transform and professionalize training in Brazil, because that I think could be called the major difference between training in the U.S. and Brazil for some of the major teams is that there's a lot of pro camps in the U.S., guys that train full-time, have, you know, coaches for nutrition and strength and conditioning. That wasn't always available in Brazil. But DreamArt has definitely, I think, taken things even further in some ways.
Yeah, they've taken it to the next level.
Yeah,
they run like a professional sports team. They have access to physios, nutritionists, catering. They have English lessons, you know. It's absolutely incredible what this team has done. And so we announced recently, right, that a couple of weeks ago, that DreamArt actually left Alliance. They were under the Alliance banner, and they decided to go their own way. And we asked the question whether a DreamArt would impact the team trophy, you know, the overall points. Because what happens is every medal that is won at an IBJJF tournament is worth points value. And that goes towards the team standings at the end of the tournament. And it's always interesting to see, and it's very competitive between the teams as to who wins the team trophy. And we asked the question whether DreamArt would be able to win the team trophy at Brasileiros. And they did. They did. They took the adult male trophy with 110 points in comparison to Alliance, who came with only 61 points.
That's incredible.
They had almost double the points.
That's incredible. And you have to think the size of those teams are very different as well. Alliance, massive.
A
gigantic network.
Yeah.
Then you have DreamArt, which is one school, basically. They have a couple, maybe?
Yeah, they used to, but actually, no, I think
it's all
they
just
have
one,
Sao Paulo.
right? Yeah. That's what I thought. So, wow, that's exciting. And I think, looking ahead, they are sending a contingency to the Worlds, from what I understand. So that could be very interesting indeed.
Yeah, it was quite a modest selection of their athletes. Their representatives competed at PANS, but I imagine that with the travel restrictions being somewhat lifted coming up in November, that it's going to be easier for Brazilians to enter the country, and other nationalities as well, especially we're talking about Europe and the UK. But as of November, fully vaccinated travelers will be able to enter the USA, and I have a feeling that many names from Brazil will make that trip to compete at Worlds in December. So, yeah, there's an entirely new wave of grapplers who, for me, are making Jiu-Jitsu exciting again. And I think those are some of the names you just mentioned right there. You know, we're talking about those champions. Meira Malves, Fabricio Andre, Mateusz Gabriel, but then also, you know, Eric Muniz and others, because you've got Leo Lara, you've got Mauricio Oliveira in there. And in the women's divisions as well, we should definitely mention this, that only one of the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, only one of the 9 female gold medalists had taken gold at Brazilian Nationals before, and that was Bianca Basilio. So that's pretty incredible. An entirely new generation of exciting grapplers coming through and changing the face of gi jiu-jitsu for the better.
Yeah, you love to see it. I mean, Ana Rodriguez is there, as well as Gabby Pisania. So they're names that we've been watching for a long time, kind of reaching their peak at the moment. And who knows where the limit is. So it's definitely a great time for jiu-jitsu. And like you said, the gi has really, I think, reached this new, let's call it plateau, where we have the next generation ready to go head on against some of the old guard. Because a lot of these established black belts, multiple-time world champions, also were not present at the Brasileiros. Many were not able to compete or feeling ready for it, whatever the reason may be. But it was largely a fresh roster. Well, we're going to see them collide at Worlds.
Yeah.
And so that's when we'll really see where everyone stands.
Okay, yeah, now I'm excited. Now I'm excited because that is where we really see whether this next generation have got what it takes to take over. Cool. So, we've talked a little bit about the gi now and how the gi game is still worth watching, still exciting, never went anywhere, just was in hibernation for a little while there, but now it's time to talk about NoGi, right? NoGi Worlds.
It's NoGi Worlds week. It's a busy
NoGi
week.
Worlds.
You know, coming off of Brasileiro straight into NoGi Worlds, the IBJJF is very busy in these next few months, and I'm super excited for NoGi Worlds for a lot of reasons, but I think we're going to see the culmination of the great experiment of heel hooks and in the World Championships, right? Or what happens next? Where are we going?
Okay, yeah, this is very interesting because since the very beginning of this year, since the very beginning of 2021, when the IBJJF announced that they would permit heel hooks for the black and brown belts in no-gi competition, we have been asking the question, well, what happens here? What happens from here on out? How is it going to change the face of jiu-jitsu? How is it going to change who wins gold at these tournaments? How is it going to change the actual the style of play in the tournament itself? And we've got a great highlight here of some of the heel hooks that have taken place at recent IBJJF no-gi competitions. And Corey, I think it's safe to say that we definitely have learned a lot about the leg lock game this year so far as it pertains to IBJJF competition, right?
Yeah, and maybe not exactly what we expected to learn. We maybe expected to see some people come in who don't normally compete in IBJJF come in and do well having this secret weapon, but it's not always the case, right? And we've seen a lot of the old guard of the IBJJF just evolve with the game and stay on top. But we've also seen kind of the counters and the follow-ups become as prominent and prevalent as the heel hooks themselves. Meaning, people are attacking knee bars knowing that they can follow up with a heel hook, or attacking heel hooks and following up with knee bars, or attacking the back off their opponent's heel hook attempt. So it's developed the game in way more ways than just this new attack that is a wild card.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't the silver bullet that some people were hoping for, right? It's not like a bunch of people have come in that we never saw before and just started slaying everybody with these heel hooks. Quite the opposite, in fact. Those who were already doing well have just been given an extra weapon for their arsenal, right? And those who were on the edge have got something new to play with, but it hasn't given them the lift that they were maybe hoping for, right?
Well, if you look at the results from NoGi Pans a couple months ago, there's a similar schism to what we were talking about between the old guard, let's say, of gi jiu-jitsu versus the up-and-coming new wave. We see the established names of the IBJJF black belt circuit, guys like Johnny Grippo, Lucas Hulk Barbosa, Maisa Bastos, Paulo Miao. They were all champions at NoGi Pans,
Right.
despite the new rules going into effect.
Right.
But then you also have other names that are making full use of these. I'm talking about Oliver Taza, Elizabeth Clay, Junior Casio, even Pato with kind of the false reap entries that he's doing. And so while maybe this NoGi specialist generation hasn't taken over yet, they've certainly changed the way the game is being played, as Corey mentioned.
Yeah.
The tactics being used are different. They're just the modern trend at the moment. And I think as some of these NoGi specialists adapt to sort of the professionalism and rigor of the strategies that the IBJJF champs employ, we will see maybe an interesting mesh, right? Because guys like Johnny Grippo have been winning so long in the IBJJF that he knows exactly how to score when he needs to, and just avoiding some positions and entanglements it may be less difficult for him than it would be for these other athletes that are less experienced in IBJJF to incorporate the scoring systems and the strategies required to win. So it's pretty interesting as they're both learning different areas of the game, and they've had a whole season to do so now ahead of these World Championships.
That is a good point, because those names that you mentioned, the ones who are kind of come through onto the scene, they didn't come through and they didn't disrupt the status quo as much as maybe people had thought, right? But as you mentioned, they definitely, they've had some catching up to do, not from the techniques, not from lack of knowledge of jiu-jitsu, but the way the game is played. Mm-hmm. And I think that you're right, that the established champions have so much experience in this rule format that it's going to be hard to take them off that perch. And yet, they've expanded their own games. Exactly, so we've seen these guys suddenly start attacking for very devastating, leg lock submissions of their own, and it could just further solidify their position as champions. But this is the fun thing, is to see how it's all playing out. So, okay, we've seen a couple of big tournaments this year. We saw American Nationals, NoGi. We saw, I think Dallas Open was the very first one that had NoGi, the new NoGi rules. We saw Pan NoGi. This is the World NoGi Championships. What are we looking forward to going into this? What do we think is going to be different, stylistically, technically, so to speak? How is the game going to be different at NoGi Worlds?
Well, I think it's going to be the most refined version yet. As we've been talking about a little bit here, we saw the explosion of the heel hook and the Dallas Open when it was launched, and we saw lots of people getting finished right and left, a lot of new names that were kind of NoGi professionals only, guys like Oliver Taza, for example, coming out. Stanley Rosa is another one that had a great showing that day. But I think what we're going to see now is the adjustments from both sides, like we were just talking about, where the NoGi specialists will have to be on their P's and Q's, let's say, for the IBJJF strategy. I think back to NoGi Pans when PJ Barch gave up points on 2 different occasions by not quite timing the guard pull rule correctly and stuff like that. And it's a small thing, but at the highest level, giving away 2 points is not going to win a match. You were destined to lose doing that. So I think that particular community, the NoGi focused community that were not major participants in the IBJJF circuit, they will have really, or that they should have been, studying those rules and strategies.
Hopefully they should have caught up by now.
And if, I think the other side of that coin is the IBJJF specialists have had to already adjust to heel hooks, because it's not like that's a strategy that they're trying to employ and be technical and sneaky. It's like, I can't get my leg broken. So they've already been working those areas. So I think they still maintain maybe what you could call a healthy lead as far as who's favored to win, but I am very intrigued to see how the NoGi specialists can disrupt that formula.
How about you, Corey? What do you think is going to be different at NoGi Worlds this year compared to past NoGi Worlds that didn't have the freedom to attack for the reaping leg locks?
Well, I think a lot of what we've seen so far, given the introduction of the heel hook rules, is that a lot of the typically or previously safe positions, right, like the stalling positions, 50-50 has gone from being this kind of safe hideaway position to this absolutely do not engage area unless you are ready and willing to play the heel hook game and see how that pans out.
That's not a bad thing, is
absolutely
it?
Not. But I
we
think
like that change.
We do like that change. And not only us, I'm actually, many coaches that I've spoken to were very happy about the fact that it is basically, as you mentioned, it is killing the ability to just hang out in that 50-50. Continue, please.
Right, and I think ultimately what we'll see, like Chase was kind of alluding to, is that we're going to see the most finely tuned version of both the maybe more IBJJF strategist with now a full arsenal of weapons versus the more sub only oriented players who now maybe hopefully better understand the rules and the strategy and how to play the game. So I'm thinking NoGi Worlds is going to be the sharpest version of NoGi that we've seen yet.
Yeah. As we have mentioned in the very title of this week's podcast, it is the real-time evolution of NoGi Grappling. We are watching the game change before us. It is incredible to witness this development. It's a very exciting time in Jiu-Jitsu, because how often can you say that you're there to see history unfold? Because this is gonna set the stage from here on out, you know?
Yeah, and it's I mean, maybe it's just a happy accident, but we're also, of course, in the very beginnings of ADCC season with trials around the corner. So everyone is looking towards ADCC World Championships in 2022, and the North American trials will be 2 of them. They're right around the corner. We have November and then sometime in the spring for the West Coast trials. So all of this is just like this epic funnel of transformation for our sport, and I think I know I'm really, really excited to see how it plays out this weekend.
Not the only one. Not the only one. NoGi Worlds, man, we looked through the divisions of NoGi Worlds, and they are stacked. Not only are they stacked, but there are some really, really exciting dream matches on the table. Now, of course, there's no guarantee that these matches will happen, because with divisions as large as these, you never know how the brackets are going to look exactly. And of course, anything can happen. As we found out last weekend, who's number one championship, all expectations should be put to one side when it comes to tournaments, because you can get some upsets. However, what we did was the three of us sat around earlier, and we highlighted 6 matches that we would love to see happen at NoGi Worlds. Now, these are all matches from various weight divisions. No absolute division matches here. Of course, any match can happen depending on who signs up for that. But we highlighted a couple of matches from different divisions, from featherweight all the way to ultra heavy. Shall we work through some of these?
Let's roll the clips.
Do you want to kick us off with the first one?
Sure. We have Diego Pato versus Gabriel Souza, 2 guys that really shine bright at the most recent WNO. Got a clip here sort of showing off what they're capable of. And I think, Corey, you put these together. What did you like about this matchup?
I mean, what's not to like about it? It's 2 of the most explosive guys in the featherweight division, right? These guys both submission-oriented only. Look at Pato, for example, who finished all 4 of his matches at NoGi Pans earlier this year with submission. But
look at that plunging rear naked.
Oof. They just don't care what it takes. They're getting the submission, and we actually saw them in the Gia to Fight to Win event earlier, maybe last year.
Yeah, but look, forget about that. It doesn't mean anything coming into this tournament here, because Gabriel Souza, he may not have won Emerald City, but he impressed us so much, and impressed us last weekend at the Who's Number One Championships as well, taking the second place prize there in our lightweight division. And Pato was there too, and he took 3rd. And both these guys, you mentioned that they know to scrap, because I think, I'll be honest, Gabriel Souza, he had a couple of great matches. He's always very entertaining and very exciting to watch. But it's Pato who really broke out, even though he won gold at NoGi Pants. After Who's Number One Championships, people were like, damn, this guy's good, right?
Yeah,
and that was a look on Cade Ruotolo's face after their match, right? Where he's like, "This guy is serious." Because I remember Cade said, "I've heard of him, but I don't know him super well." And they of course had that war at WNO, and he left. Even though he left the victory, Cade was very impressed and realized he was in serious danger at some points in that match.
As you mentioned, submission hunters, both of them. Gabriel Souza with that fearsome north-south choke that he used to tap out Mikey Musumeci. And Pato has shown that he's good with both upper body and lower body submissions, catching a brutal knee bar against Josh Cisneros earlier this year, and also using a very tight arm bar attack against Cade Ruotolo. Very, very close, man. I thought he was going to catch Cade with that.
It looked out, but Cade's tough.
Yes, that is a very anticipated match in the featherweight division. I'm going to focus on another match here in the middleweight division between Levi Jones-Leary and Renato Canuto. Now, we don't actually have NoGi footage for this. We have a little clip of the last time that these guys fought. The last time that these guys fought was at the 2019 IBJJF Pan Championships. This is the final of the black belt division. Levi Jones-Leary was able to take Renato Canuto's back in the match. The 4-4, as you can see, absolutely tied on the scoreboard. And Levi Jones-Leary, the Berimbolo specialist, was able to catch Canuto's
I don't think he got the
back.
point for this, though. Am I right about that? They went out of bounds and got reset? Yeah, I don't think he actually scored.
He didn't get the points for this, but
he didn't get the points. That being pretty controversial.
The icing on the cake here, though.
He did win that
I mean,
match,
the
though.
sequence, though, is sick.
The sequence
just give the jiu-jitsu some credit.
I'm just saying.
Points, no points, doesn't matter. He's got dope technique.
No, it was dope. And, there was a lot of heat going into that match, too. That was, I want to say, Levi's rookie year, and he just won.
That's right.
Europeans, if you mentioned earlier, and then, of course, had a kind of a crazy second half of the year. But in any case, Renato was kind of pissed off that we were talking about Levi so much, right? He's like, I'm the guy. I'm the man you wash. And
that's his style. Yeah,
exactly.
He likes the conflict, and he likes it when he's the underdog and he's getting overlooked, because it just gives him that little extra boost. He's already intense enough as it is when he competes. But I feel I feel that if they were to meet at NoGi Worlds, I can imagine that one's going to get a little chippy.
That's
right.
That's what I was leading towards. That I
Yeah.
think there's a little extra spice between those two.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, the jiu-jitsu would be phenomenal as well. So I think that one has the makings of a dream match written all over it.
Yeah, absolutely. The big question, of course, is, excuse me, we don't know what to expect from Levi's NoGi game, because the last time that we were able to find any NoGi matches of Levi was 2016. And we
Purple
actually,
Belt.
Yeah, Purple Belt Worlds and Purple Belt NoGi Pans. I dug them out. I took a little look at them earlier. And, I mean, he looks exactly the same as he does now. He's a Berimbolo specialist with amazing legs, you know, and hooks. But how much he's evolved, and especially having, you know, been studying the leg lock game with Lachlan Giles in Australia before he came back to the States. Very interested to see what it looks like when Levi tangles with Renato Canuto. Because Renato, NoGi World Champion, Kasai Champion, you know, very proficient with the leg locks as well. So,
And also a master of the IBJJF rule set.
oh, yeah, absolutely. Knows it inside out. Another cool match. Maybe you want to take this one, Chase?
Yeah, we've got good old Mike Perez from Atos taking on David Garmo in this dream matchup. And
Medium heavyweight division, I believe.
yes, that's correct. Medium heavy. There's Mike Perez. I just saw our producer flash a clip.
There
Mike
we go.
Perez, really, I want to call him a stylish grappler in more way than one. He always
yeah.
puts his own spin on things. You know, he looks so good. Was this from NoGi Pans or American
This is
Nationals?
NoGi Pans, I believe. Yeah, I want to say this is NoGi Pans. Mounted guillotine there from a very slick knee cut pass.
He's just so
Perez is-
smooth, though, right?
He is, and he's criminally underrated, right?
Because he's kind of been off the scene a little bit. Like he
Exactly.
came out strong at the end of this year.
people
but
forget this guy went
yeah.
to ADCC as a purple belt. A purple belt. Qualified and multiple-time ADCC veteran. 3-time, I want to say. But Garmo's no slouch either, right, Corey?
Yeah, but both of these guys like to go head-to-head wrestling. Both obviously have mean chin straps. It's really I don't know what to expect from this match. I think it's going to be. I mean, we don't know if we'll see it, but if we do, you know, it's gonna be just two bulls going at it, right?
Well, yeah, they're both short. They're both stocky, all right? They've both got very, very similar jiu-jitsu. They're both great headhunters with really savage guillotines. Yeah, this is
That's a nasty clip.
It is a nasty. I love this transition, man. David Garmo, don't let him grab hold of your neck.
No. What I like about David Garmo is he's a good dance partner for basically anyone. You know, he approaches every match with a very forward fighting mentality, and I've never seen him move backwards in any of the matches he takes. So Mike Perez needs someone like that, because Mike Perez can also get kind of stalled out sometimes.
Very true.
And so that's not going to happen if he should meet David Garmo.
An exciting match and an interesting one for me. A little clash of styles, I would say. This is in the heavyweight division. We have Adam Wardzinski of Checkmat is signed up, as is Pedro Mourinho of Gracie Barra. And I'm excited by this match. You can roll this clip, Tyler. I'm excited by this because even though Wardzinski is an ADCC trials winner and also an ADCC world veteran, we still don't really consider Adam a no-gi guy, right?
Sure.
And even he himself, I think, admits that he's not the biggest fan of no-gi grappling, but he's pretty good at it.
He's excellent. His game transfers really well, right? He's a big fan of the butterfly guard, and of course that leads into a lot of the modern leg entanglements and leg locks should he choose them. But he has a very classic game. He'll be taking on potentially in this dream matchup Pedro Mourinho, one of the most physical grapplers I would say on the planet. You know,
so explosive,
ruthless guillotine, good wrestling, aware of the heel hooks. You know, he's finished Roberto, for example, by heel hook, and one of the standout representatives of Gracie Barra today. I think, you know, Adam is playing a dangerous game potentially if he, let's say, plays butterfly guard of Pedro, because Pedro is such a headhunter, will definitely roll over the top hunting for that guillotine.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe Adam comes out and comes up with a sweep, or maybe Pedro gets the finish. But I think that's almost a bit of a shootout just based on the way Adam plays with his guard on the bottom game and the love of the head hunting that Pedro has.
Yeah, Pedro is a very exciting grappler to watch, and I'm expecting big things from him at NoGi Worlds, especially as it's here in Texas. He's based in Houston. Mm-hmm. The event is taking place in Dallas. I'm interested to see how that will unfold. But Adam versus Pedro, a definite clash of styles. Excited for that. Next one is a battle of the long boys.
Right?
Right?
I did not expect you to categorize it as such, but yes,
well,
correct.
You've got two of the tallest, strongest grapplers signed up in the super heavyweight division. You've got Heisen, 6'5", going up against Rafael Lovato Jr. This is a dream match for me. You know, whether this will happen or not, I don't know, but I really, really hope we see this one. Play this clip, please. This is Heisen here at first. As we've seen now, we saw him a number of times on the Who's Number One stage, multiple time submission finisher on both the super fights and as court submission against ADCC, former ADCC champion Orlando Sanchez, the only man, I believe, to ever tap out Orlando at black belt, which is incredible. Caught him with a brutal face crank after elevating him with a hook into a leg entanglement. It is incredible that you know, Orlando weighed in nearly 300 pounds, and Heisen so strong that he was able to lift Orlando like that. Sorry for the black one. Hopefully you can see this one. Maybe you can use a magnifying glass or something to check this one. But that is Lovato Jr. on top right there, and he's powering through somebody's guard with his pressure passing, as he does so well, and looking for a rear naked choke finish in this match. And it's interesting that Heisen's got that amazing diving Kimura that he likes to hit, and Lovato's pretty savvy with the Kimura of his own, right?
Yeah, and we've been talking about Clash of Generations throughout this entire podcast. Well, you can't get a bigger one than this right here. You have Heisen, brand new black belt, also very, very new to the North American scene, of course, coming from Japan, and Lovato being in the game a legend.
Yeah.
Also from the heartland of America, you know.
Now,
so
I would need to check exactly the last time that Lovato competed at NoGi Worlds, but it's been a very long time, and he is a NoGi World Champion. But maybe Corey, you could look that up quickly while we're chatting, because man, Lovato is he's really returned to his roots in a big way, right? You know, obviously a lifelong martial artist. You know, he took a few years off from jiu-jitsu to focus on his MMA career and reach the very top of the world in capturing the Bellator middleweight title. But after his diagnosis and, you know, his subsequent retirement from MMA, he's come back to jiu-jitsu and he's having a ball.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure. You know, we really saw that roll out in 2020, and it's extended on into this year. And it's great to see him not just competing in super fights, but going into the opens now and going into the bigger tournaments like NoGi Worlds. I mean, that's a serious challenge, right? And of course, he's definitely got the right team for it. He's been, I know, out there in Oklahoma City with his group getting ready, but also coming down to Austin, training with Shanji Ribera, Victor Hugo, and they've been going up to see him and all that stuff.
That Six Blades crew, they got a good thing going on, and they're competing a lot lately, and I expect them to do big things. Did you manage to find the info?
Yeah, Lovato's last NoGi World Championship is 2013.
Yeah.
And it was 11 years ago that he won his NoGi World title, 2010.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah, that would be an amazing story if he could come back and do that. But very stacked division, but pretty exciting match, that one. I think that Heisen versus Lovato could be a lot of fun. Then, speaking of fun, go ahead. This is the last one.
The last one to round us out here. We've got good old AJ Agazarm has put his name in the hat of the ultra heavyweight division
again,
and so we're gonna give him Victor Hugo. You know,
this is a dream match indeed, right?
100%. I mean, you gotta love AJ. He did the ultra heavyweight at Pans not too long ago, and I respect it so much, really, because those guys are massive and
huge.
Also very good at what they do, and they're probably pissed off that AJ is entering their division, right?
Put it in perspective here, because AJ's what, 5'7", 8. You know, 5'8", maybe, let's say. He's, you know, walking around probably 165 pounds, soaking wet, fully clothed, you know. Victor Hugo is 6'4" and 280 pounds. A solid 280 pounds, not fat. He's huge, big, all right?
Yeah, definitely. And I remember seeing a post from AJ after he did his Pans run, and he talked about, well, isn't that the point of jiu-jitsu, basically, that you can take on the bigger, stronger opponent and come out on top? Yeah, that's the whole point of this game. And if you should be confident in your jiu-jitsu, and he's backing those words up again one more time by entering the ultra heavyweight division. But spent a lot of time talking about AJ here.
Hang on, can I just say one more thing though about AJ?
Sure.
I love the fact that a 36-year-old man can still enter these divisions and
AJ's 36?
No, but I always like to joke and say
I thought he was 23. Anyways, Victor Hugo, to me, is definitely a front runner of the division, right? He's an incredible athlete, already a NoGi World Champion, and I think we've seen him become more and more confident over the years as a black belt. In the beginning, I feel like he was sure of his abilities, but not one to speak out and to, you know, raise his hand saying I'm the best. We're seeing that transformation now where Victor Hugo, I think, believes he's the best in the world and that he could be number one and take out anybody, even Gordon, eventually. So I think that will be interesting to watch that take place and unfold on the mats.
Yeah, he's still got a little way to go, but I feel that Victor is slowly establishing himself in the IBJJF scene, both gi and no-gi, as one of the major names. And this is a big opportunity to do so because he won the NoGi World Championships in his debut year as a black belt in his rookie year, knee barring Roberto Cyborg in the Absolute Division final after losing to Cyborg earlier on points in the weight class final, the ultra heavyweight. But yeah, coming back here to try and take that gold medal again. And I think, as you said, a very strong front runner to do so. IBJJF NoGi Worlds starts on Thursday right here in Texas. You'll be able to watch it from Thursday the 7th of October through till Sunday the 10th. We'll be streaming every match from every mat over the next couple of days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, non-stop action. Black belts go on Saturday and Sunday. We'll be there providing you with news, results, highlights, interviews, the whole deal. And Chase and I will be doing commentary this weekend as well for the black belt divisions. As I said, watch it all live or on demand here on FloGrappling. Cool. All right. So I think it's time to talk about a big upcoming event that we have here on FloGrappling, because on October the 20th, Wednesday, October the 20th, our first ever weekday show, a midweek Who's Number One event, features a very special exhibition match between Gordon Ryan and Philip Rowe. And this is the return of the pound-for-pound number one no-gi grappler in the world.
Yes, it is. And you mentioned it's on a Wednesday. I'm super excited about this. Every other sport gets a weekday event. Why does it grappling? And so, WNO kind of pushing things forward in many different ways. Of course, it's great to have Gordon on the card. And I have seen very mixed reactions to the exhibition.
Really?
Format. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen them too, Hal. And
no, I'm asking for you to, but really? No, I hadn't seen him. No,
do tell. And so some people are very critical, of course, saying, why would Gordon take a fake match or an easy match or whatever they want to call it. I think the more optimistic reaction is to see, well, this could be interesting. What are we going to see from Gordon that he wouldn't show us in a normal match? And that's kind of where my mindset falls is, this is a very open playing field now for Gordon. He can do anything that he wants to without fear of repercussions.
Yeah, that's an interesting question as to exactly what he wants to show. And I feel that he may have let the cat out of the bag a touch here, because he mentioned a few times that he has some upcoming DVDs on BJJ Fanatics highlighting escapes into submissions. And I feel like he's going to use this match to put himself in bad spots and use it as an opportunity to showcase some of the techniques that he's teaching.
Yeah, and I think what makes that a little more interesting is that Philip Rowe will try and tear Gordon's face off. I mean, he's extremely aggressive grappler, also a showman.
He's a competitor.
He's a competitor. Yeah. He's in the UFC. I mean, he's at the top of the game in MMA.
Hey, listen, he hasn't come here to be anybody's grappling dummy.
He's going to happily submit Gordon over and over again if Gordon wants to play that game. If Gordon wants to see how deep he can go, I think Philip will try and take him all the way. He'll choke him all the way out if he can. So imagine that. I'm
imagining.
Exactly. So I think for me, it's the intrigue of Gordon being entering willfully dangerous positions against a guy that really would love to just take advantage of that. So that's where my head's at. Corey, what about you?
Yeah, I love that angle, because we've heard from John Danaher and from Gordon Ryan that this is how they train all the time, right? They put themselves in bad situations, the worst situations, and see see how long they can last or how quickly they can get out. But we get to see this in real time, and we get to see the effectiveness or the lack of effectiveness of it. And I'm all for it, because you can go into a training room and see Gordon do this to the people he does this to every day, but to a brand new face, to somebody he's never trained with before, and to a professional mixed martial artist, a UFC veteran, I think that adds another layer to this. I'm all about this.
Yeah, I think training rounds are actually the most interesting footage to study. I do that quite a bit when I can.
Yeah, me too.
Just because
we have tons of it on our site.
Yes. Go ahead and hit the training tab and look for the rolling or sparring footage, and you can see the real-time Q&A, the dev process of techniques or strategies, and to get a window into Gordon's preparation is one of the, I think, best assets you could have as a grappler. So
very interesting exhibition match here. 15 minutes, no official winner or loser. If either man taps out, they'll reset standing and go again. But yeah, this is going to be a definitely an interesting showcase of some grappling skill that I'm sure we can all learn a lot from. However, we do have some real matches on this card as well, because we have, so far, we've announced 2 title matches. Will we announce some more coming up soon? Who knows?
That depends on Instagram.
Yeah, it depends. Right now, Instagram.
We're ready to go.
But we will be hosting a 135-pound title match between Beatriz Mesquita and Luisa Montero, and a 125-pound title match between Fion Davis and Natalie Ribeiro. Fion making her Who's Number One debut. Long awaited, highly anticipated. Lots of people have been asking for Fion on Who's Number One. Well, we've managed to make it happen. And we also, so far, have announced another match that Levi Jones-Leary will be returning to NoGi. He's going to be doing it at NoGi Worlds first as well. You know, dust those cobwebs off. But we'll see him back a couple of weeks later, 10 days later, to compete at Who's Number One in a NoGi match against Oliver Tarza, the very dangerous Oliver Tarza of Danaher's team, New Wave Jiu-Jitsu. That's an intriguing match.
Yeah.
Tarza versus Levi.
I love it. I always want to go back real quick because I'm super excited about B. Mesquita also making her debut,
Yes.
against Luisa Montero, 2 of the best female grapplers to ever do it. It's going to be really exciting to watch them on a platform that lets them do whatever they want. I think that's what we've realized about WNO, and what we've tried to construct is that it's a showcase for their jiu-jitsu. There should be no worries about points or perceptions of the judges. It should just be do the game that allows you to execute your jiu-jitsu at the highest level. And we've seen phenomenal matches come of it. And so I think to give Bia and Luisa Montero that opportunity is great, as well as, of course, Fion and the WNO veteran at this point, Natalie Ribeiro. So those 2 matches, I think, really, really may exemplify what we're trying to do at WNO, and they have belts on the line. But yes, going back to Levi now, I think Levi's been one of my favorite grapplers. I think it's known, since he kind of burst out as a brown belt. I even have an Instagram post to prove it, saying that he's going to be big at black belt after brown belt worlds.
Nice flex.
Look it up. I said it. I called it. But he just, to me, brings that finishing mentality to the gi. And now that he, as you mentioned, has been training with Lachlan Giles, and of course the Room of Killers there at Unity, I think he's going to be more than adequately prepared for the NoGi game that we're seeing today.
Oh yeah,
and
100%.
Man,
all those Unity guys are very smart competitors. They know how to adapt their games very quickly, and they've been doing very well under these kind of rule sets for sure. So hey, Tyler, throw up that graphic real quick if you could, please. We got the little poster for the Who's Number One. There it is, the Wednesday, October 20th, the return of Gordon Ryan as the main attraction.
He ran it earlier, but I'm glad we're getting it up there twice. It is a nice poster.
Yeah, no, I want to see it again because it looks badass. And Gordon's massive. Nice. Gordon was 240 pounds the day that we took that photo.
that's full chunk, bro.
That is
hefty.
Big. That is big boy right there. No wonder he's the number 1 pound for pound in the world. Cool. Okay, so just some news and results to wrap things up here and the Grappling Bulletin podcast, and we'll let you guys go. ADCC trials have been cancelled. The ADCC Asian trials scheduled for Singapore in December have been cancelled, not postponed, but cancelled. They are exploring their options. They are looking potentially to move to a different country, but everything's very, very difficult and complicated right now. So it was due to take place in Singapore on December 11th, but the ongoing problems of the pandemic and shutdowns and such, Singapore has incredibly strict rules about entry and exit into the country. So considering the current challenges, the ADCC, they've decided to postpone the event until possibly late spring 2022, which would make it one of the final trials in the calendar in that year-long qualification process. They've even mentioned that, what may happen if there are no trials at all. They may just have to issue invites, but we'll see. More information as we get it. Next up is just a reminder. We mentioned it earlier, and we can put up this little poster right here, but the IBJJF World Championships is back. Scheduled for December in California. It's going to take place December 9th through 12th in Anaheim, California. Unfortunately, we won't be going back to the iconic pyramid in Long Beach, but it'll be just around the corner in Anaheim, and the same venue that they used for NoGi Worlds and also the ADCC. And that is confirmed for December 9th through 12th, 2021. So this is the first time since June 2019 that the IBJJF will host World Championships, and the timing's really good because I'm not sure if you guys saw in the news, but as of mid-November, a number of the travel restrictions will be lifted so that travelers from the EU, the European Union, and the UK will be able to enter the United States so long as they're fully vaccinated. So that's great. That's a big step into opening the door to international competitors. A lot of competitors have complained that they weren't able to participate in tournaments such as PANS or NoGi Worlds because of the restrictions. There were loopholes to get into the country, but they weren't always available for everybody, right?
Well, you need a lot of time, right? You need to spend 2 weeks in a different country in order to get that time limit reached and then come over. So it all kind of depends on your individual circumstances, but it is nice to see restrictions are being relieved, and hopefully we have a full roster.
Yeah. So we've already heard a number of big names are in. Leandro Lo and Felipe Pena are in Mexico right now. They're doing their 2-week quarantine before they come into the country. But it also opens up the possibility for, as we mentioned earlier, guys like the Dream Art team to come to the country to send a squad. So yeah, the registrations are already filling up, and you can see who's registered by going to the IBJJF website. Just a little reminder that anybody who will be going to the tournament, either spectator or participant, will need either proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test dated within 72 hours to enter the building. And then the final news, this is really cool. I gotta say, this put a smile on my face when I heard that this was happening. EBI is coming back. Eddie Bravo has announced that he's bringing back that iconic tournament that helped change the face of submission grappling.
I love it. Actually, I caught the Medusa event over the weekend, the combat jiu-jitsu format. And
they had both, right?
They had both. They had
the straight submission grappling EBI rules and the combat jiu-jitsu.
So yeah, it's good to see it back. And Eddie's been such a pioneer for the sport, and it's good to see him returning to the roots that made him even further, I guess, an icon.
Oh, I mean, as if he wasn't already well known enough in jiu-jitsu. The Eddie Bravo Invitational carries his name forever, EBI. So definitely made a big mark there. Corey, you a fan of EBI?
Absolutely. Think about how many just major names came out of the first 10 EBIs, right? I mean, just the DDS alone, Eddie Cummings, Gordon Ryan, Gary Tonin, not to mention all the top level 10th Planet guys. I mean, it really changed the face of competition jiu-jitsu and gave it a huge boost.
Kind of cool. They've announced that they will be returning in spring of 2022, and they'll alternate between events. EBI, Combat Jiu-Jitsu, EBI, Combat Jiu-Jitsu. And they said that their first event will be welterweights, and they've already confirmed participation of Ty Rotolo, Nicky Ryan, Nathan Orchard, and more. Pretty cool.
That's exciting.
Excited for that. Yeah, EBI, big fans. All right, well, that is about it from us here today at the Grappling Bulletin podcast. Always a pleasure to bring you in. I've got to say thanks to everybody joining along in the chat today. Some really cool conversation going on. I can see you guys are very excited for NoGi Worlds. We are too. Just to address a couple of things. So, unfortunately, Luis Quinones, big fan of ours, who's #1 veteran, is going to be missing NoGi Worlds because he's shooting his shot. He's going to try and go to Serbia to compete for Team USA at the UWW Grappling World Championships, which
cool.
You can watch on FloGrappling.
Yes, that's a very interesting event. Different format, different rule set.
Yeah,
check it out.
Actually, pretty exciting as well. If you haven't seen it, it's worth watching. That one goes down. Let me check our calendar very quickly. That one goes down in October 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st. Thursday through Sunday, right at the end of October. That's a pretty exciting one. We got some more comments coming in here. People asking to see Maisa Bastos versus Ana Rodriguez on a future Who's Number One.
I like that match.
I like that match. What do you think about the match, Corey?
That's a great match. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it. Okay.
Yeah, okay, we're all in agreement.
Done.
There it is. Easy. Yeah, let's try and make it happen. No, Ana Rodriguez, she's super aggressive, and she's one of the only women to actually hold a win over Maisa in the gi. So, not too much of a stretch of the imagination to think she could do it no-gi too.
Also just claimed her first Brazilian national title over the weekend, so that would be very cool.
She's a badass.
She's very good.
She's very aggressive as well. You watch her compete. She competes like she's proving something to the world, right? She's pissed off. She's got something to prove, and she's looking to make a statement. So, then we got some more. Got lots of questions about why Instagram isn't working. I don't know. Ask Mark Zuckerberg. Don't ask us. Sorry, guys. I mean, that's
I have been in a bit of a panic all morning. So
Chase has been jonesing for Instagram all day. He hasn't. But actually, it did postpone one of our Who's Number One announcements. We were due to announce a Who's Number One match this afternoon on Instagram, but unfortunately, didn't happen because it's down. So you'll have to wait till tomorrow.
yes, or whenever they're back.
Oh, whenever it's back. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, I think that's it from us today. Always a pleasure to have you here, guys. Thanks a lot for joining in today, and we'll see you next week.